From the Dallas On Air studios in beautiful Dallas, Texas, this is Fulfilment here on DallasOnAir.com. And now here's your hosts, the Vegabomber PJ Dunn and the film samurai Carlos Salinas.
Wow, welcome. I'm just going to put this up real first, let you know a little something about this episode. Got it, see it, okay. And this is, thank you, Film Samurai, for making sure that we grabbed a couple of those. So, get your popcorn, get your drink, sit on your favorite spot on the couch, because we're about to go there. We're going to, as we're marching closer and closer to Halloween, we're still talking about Halloween movies to a degree, villains, but then it just so happens that the Joker, one of the ultimate iconic villains, also happens to come out, so we're going to definitely have to talk about that. But before we jump into all that, Film Samurai, say hello to the folks.
Good morning, everybody. What's up? Ready to talk movies?
That's right.
Films.
And behind that microphone, Kazak, say something to the people.
Greetings and salutations, campers. Welcome to DallasOnAir.com.
Okay, so now we're all checked in. You all ready? Because here we go. We're going to go into our first segment, as we usually do here, and that's talking about the box office economics. Basically, what were you willing to let go of in your pocket, in your wallet, to go see a movie? Or did you just say, nah, I'm going to wait and stream it.
Wait for Netflix.
I'll wait for Netflix. So here's what people are doing right about now. We're going to take a look at the box office economics. So we'll just start from the bottom. At number 5, which was at number 1 last time we did this, It Too is at $5.3 million. It's still hanging in there.
Wow.
At number 4, a movie that you saw, Carlos, Hustlers is just better than IT2 at $6.3 million. And then the film that I didn't see, you didn't see, none of us are probably going to see, Downton Abbey is at number 3 with $7.9 million.
I didn't see it, PJ.
That's right. I still want to know.
Although I'm from England.
That's right.
I sent my footman to sing it.
I'm just telling you, it was Professor Plum in the library with a candlestick. That's all I'm telling you. All right, and then number 2 is a movie, again, I don't think any of us are going to see. It's a movie called Abdominal. And it's
Abominable.
Abominable.
It's a movie about abs.
Yes, six-pack abs. It's a movie with Chris Hemsworth, and another guy named Chris Hemsworth, flexing the whole movie at $37 million. Abominable at $37 million, number 2. And number 1, no surprise to anyone, Joker. $96 million. And Carlos, you've seen it how many times now?
Gosh, 3 times. Saw it yesterday
times.
In 70 millimeter. It was awesome. Wow.
I've seen it twice. Kazak, how many times?
0.
What?
What?
We'll get into that when we go into it.
Okay.
You're canceled, Pete.
All right,
Zach.
then. So that means we're going to have to talk non-spoiler.
No. Go ahead and spoil it. It's fine. That's what the folks came to see.
We'll say that for the very end.
We'll save that.
I got a whole spoiler full on Vagabond nerds last week, so we're all good.
Okay. Well, then, since someone's also already spoiled it for you, then we'll make sure we add our names to the list of people who did that. All right. So economics-wise, Joker, not a surprise. Just 3 days. Carlos, what's going on with this movie?
PJ, turn that mic a little more to it, if you could, please.
Yeah, just turned it. There we go.
You know, from the press and the critics and stuff, it would seem like nobody would go see this movie, or they were warning people not to go see it because of the possible shootings and stuff, you know. And so, yeah, it's an adult R-rated. That's kind of surprising because, you know, films like this, you know, or comic book movies, if you want to call it that, they're typically PG-13, and you get the teenagers and a lot of kids. But interestingly enough, I've been to screenings of the Joker where people have brought their kids, and young kids, like 5, 6 years old.
Wow.
I said, man, these kids are going to be traumatized.
Man.
So, yeah, it's kind of surprising, but, yeah, it's like what else is out there, too. That's another point, is there's nothing going against it, really.
Yeah. Kazak, what do you think? Why is Joker just dominating? What do you think?
It's easy enough because, number 1, that is correct. There is nothing out there. Number 2, it is a comic book movie. Number 3, of course, it's the Joker. It's iconic. You really want to see, you know, just how insane this guy gets. You really are drawn into why this guy goes off the rails as he does. And Joaquin Phoenix, from what I hear, is knocked it out of the park as the performance goes. And so the buzz is half I want to see it, and half I want to see Joaquin Phoenix, and half I want to see the Joker.
Yeah, I think we've always been influenced by that whole study. Isn't this just Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde? There's the one guy who's probably an okay guy left to his own devices. Sure, he's got some quirks and he's on meds, but then he can be pushed and become this other thing. And I think we just probably never get tired of seeing that duality of man probably being explored. Would you say?
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, and you're right, because what else? If you don't see this, then I guess you're going to have to go see Downton Abbey or Abominable or maybe Hustlers, or maybe you go see It 2 again, which I would say in the movies that come out in this month, It 2 is probably pretty weak comparably in terms of big box office, supposed to be a big draw. Right. Wouldn't you say, compared to Joker?
Just the fact that it was a big horror movie and it was a sequel to a popular, the first part was pretty popular, made a ton of money.
Yeah.
Stephen King, he's always a draw just because it's Stephen King.
And there's no horror films in the theaters.
Right.
I mean, we got Ready or Not last month. Zombieland 2 doesn't hit till next week.
Right.
So, yeah, there's nothing there.
Yep.
So you might as well go see something that's really scary.
That's true. And this does scare the hell. I mean, we're going to talk more about that as we get to the Just Seen It, because as you guys know, this is the Joker episode, so we will get more into that. So let's go ahead then and move fleet-footedly as well as we can to our next segment, which, as you know, if you've been watching for a while, is Picks of the Week. So first what I'm going to do is list the 3 movies. Then we're going to go ahead and dive into each of the 3 movies that you can go see in the theaters right now. And then we're going to talk about which one we think we're going to go see out of these 3 movies, if any at all, and if our budget constraints aren't really blowing dust out of the wallet that we have in our back pockets. So let me list them first. We have coming out for your favor, if you really like Will Smith, I guess you're going to love Gemini Man. We also have The Addams Family, and here's the surprise this week, horror film maybe, Little Monsters, which is listed here as a comedy/horror. And actually, let's go there first, because I think this is a little bit more interesting. So Little Monsters, just for you guys to know, this one is a movie. It's a comedy horror. It's rated R. It's only 1 hour and 33 minutes. The director is Abe Forsyth, I think, or Forsyth. And the stars are Lupita Nyong'o and Josh Gad, the comedian, and Alexander England. So, Little Monsters. The synopsis is that there's these teachers, I think Lupita Nyong'o is one of those, that's got these kids, and they're going on a field trip, I guess, but this is in a zombie apocalypse type situation.
There's an outbreak.
There's an outbreak of some sort, yes. So the comedy is supposed to be evidently that she's trying to keep these kids from being scared, so she makes up things like, oh, well, they're just, whatever, right? But the reality is Josh Gad's character says, are you kidding me? They're trying to eat folks out there. So this movie, I wonder how it's going to balance its tone between seriousness and then horror, because it's a little bit of both. But Lupita Nyong'o, what do you think of this?
I haven't really heard that much about it. Other than I saw, a still image of Lupita with violin or some type of musical instrument. But yeah, I haven't heard anybody on my film Twitter, talk about it or say it's really great, or probably because many people haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
But no, I haven't heard much like.
What do you think of this
chatter
concept? Is this concept, would it draw you in, this kind of a concept?
I don't know, not necessarily. What was that old movie about that Jewish guy with his kid that got put into a concentration camp, and he was pretending it was a game?
Yeah.
No, it's not Jacob the Liar. It's Life is Beautiful.
Life is Beautiful. That's
Life
right,
is Beautiful.
Right. So it's like, I guess it's that kind of concept. He doesn't want the kid to know he's may get put in an oven, But so he's making it a whole game. The object of the game, he's going to win a tank. And by the end of the movie, it's almost like he really does win the tank. It's a great film. Won Academy Award, I believe. And but yeah, I guess it sounds like that kind of concept where trying to protect the psyche of the children so they don't get freaked out and panicked and keep them safe.
Sure. Kazak, what do you think of this concept? Would this be something?
Wow.
I think I liked this film the first time I saw it when it was called Cooties.
Cooties.
Cooties is this great film. Elijah Wood, Rainn Wilson. Apparently bad chicken nuggets get into the kids' food supply, and they go apeshit. And it is a great little zombie film.
Because all kids eat chicken nuggets.
Exactly.
So all the kids-
Especially McDonald's.
That's
And I mean the kids just turn vicious as hell. It turns into 28 Days Later with like fifth graders. It is a terrific little horror film.
I gotta find out.
But if that's what happens here, then yeah, that's what I'd go to see.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I did see the trailer. I had to watch it because I'd never even heard of this, right? And so I thought, okay, well, let me check this out. Because if Lupita's in it, I have to check it out, right? This is Black Panther's girlfriend, for all points to say. So I have to check this out. And so in the trailer, what was kind of funny, it made me guffaw out loud, was there's a scene where the zombies are coming up and they're eating the hell out of people, and they turn around with their teeth and the blood and everything, and the kids are like, ah! And she's like, that's not real. And Josh Gad goes, the F it isn't real? What are you talking about? And he starts running, and he says that right there in front of all these kids. So you can see it, then Lupita's like, how do I keep this up? He's showing the real deal. They're deciding whether this is real or not. And those are real zombies walking this way. But they said in the movie, in the trailer, they said, oh, don't worry. They're the slow variety kind.
Aww.
They're not fast. So I don't know. There might be something to it. Maybe it's a cheap matinee. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But for all you watching Little Monsters with Lupita Nyong'o and Josh Gad, who is somewhat funny in that when he's the second chair, not when he's first chair actor, but second chair actor. The other one, since we're on this theme of kids, why don't we stay with it? So The Addams Family. Now, this is an animated comedy PG feature. It's only an hour and 27 minutes, thank God. Okay, for the parents, maybe. There's two directors. It's Greg Tiernan and Conrad Vernon. Now, this film stars the voices of Oscar Isaac, Charlize Theron, Chloe Oscar Isaac, Chloe Grace Moretz. Grace Moretz. That's it, yeah.
Hit girl.
I feel like I have Tourette's talking about Moretz here. Yeah, and so these are some of the lead voices in The Addams Family, which we remember as a TV show.
Oh, yeah.
Black and white back in the day. Any interest in this?
Lurch. No, not really. And also they did live action. Remember with, oh, God, what's that actor's name?
They did.
Yes.
Raul Julia and Angelica Houston.
Oh, yeah, and the tiny little actress.
What was her name? Yeah, I know you're talking about.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know,
Yes.
cartoon version? I mean, not for me. I'm not. I don't have kids, and I'm not a kid, so big pass for me.
Yeah, I did watch the trailer. Again, if you got kids, sure, this is probably this is the way to hone your kids in or get your kids used to Halloween movies, I guess, if you take them to funny Halloween movies so that later they'll go, all right, Dad, I've grown up. I don't want funny Halloween movies now. I want serious dead Halloween movies right now. But I guess this is how you get them into Halloween.
Yeah, transitional movie.
Take them to see this one, which is probably not that scary. And probably the film we're going to all really probably talk more about. And it's Gemini Man. So this is Will Smith twice. So it's basically Fresh Prince Will Smith versus iRobot Will Smith is what it looks like. But this is an action drama sci-fi, PG-13. This one is an hour and 57 minutes, so just under 2 hours. And of course, it's directed by Ang Lee, who brought us that Hulk movie. And then, of course, you got Will Smith twice and Clive Owen and what's her name? Mary something Winstead is in this as well.
Mary Elizabeth Winstead, yeah.
Yeah.
I call her Mew.
Gemini Man.
When this I first heard of it, it sounded interesting. Then I said, yeah, I guess I'll go see it. But now I can't motivate myself to go see it. It was filmed in this high frame rate, and they did the Hobbit trilogy like this. Peter Jackson did. It's that kind of look to where it's almost, it's high speed, so there's more frames, and it's hyper realistic. It's almost like you're actually there. And then they got it in 3D, which is going to make it even more. But it's going to be a lot of CGI in it, I'm sure, from what I saw in the trailer.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Just
Yeah. I mean, Will Smith is always kind of like a kid in most of his movies anyway. So there's not much of a difference between the version of him that they show and this version.
the
really.
guy ages well. He doesn't look his age at all, and he's still got the build, And then, yeah, the younger version of him reminds you of the Michael Mann Ali movie version of Will Smith, where he's just clean shaven. He's got that short fro and looks good, and it's just like, so who's gonna win?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think the better Gemini Man, if you're going to do younger versus older, I'd rather see a younger Jack Nicholson versus an older Jack Nicholson. That would be kind of interesting.
Yeah, younger Jack Nicholson from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest versus, I don't know, the one
Versus
from
About Schmidt.
About Schmitz.
The Departed or something.
That would be pretty good.
Yeah, the winner gets a naked Kathy Bates. No one wins there.
There it is.
And no one wins there.
Pearl.
Well, it's either that or Whoopi Goldberg. So I don't know. So, yeah, that's it. So those are our 3 picks. If you had a gun pointed to your head and they forced you to watch one of these 3 movies, which one would it be, Carlos?
Gemini Man.
Gemini Man. How about you, Zach?
I hate to say it, but I think Addams Family.
Really?
Yeah, I'm an Addams Family guy. I love the comic. I love the Raul Julia movie. It might be funny. I don't know.
Okay, well, we got 3 different ones because I'm going to take Little Monsters this time, if only just to look at Lupita Nyong'o yet again. But I'm really interested because I think, man, the different roles that she's taking, you really can't typecast her as
not at all.
the slave girl or the angry mad black woman or whatever because she's playing so many different roles. It's like she's very ubiquitous at this moment. So I almost have to just see out of the curiosity factor, can she do this? But we know she kind of can because she did Us, which is kind of horror with some humor in it,
It's
right?
more comedy, so yeah.
So
Interesting to see her now.
yeah, something's happening with this actress. She's got something extra special, I think, not just her look. So we'll have to see that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're moving on to that second segment of the day, and that is Just Seen It. There it is. So this segment, we talk about what we've been watching since the last time we sat down and talked to you. And this could be whether it be a Netflix or TV streaming device or at the silver screen itself. As always, we start with you, Carlos. What have you seen?
Okay, I'll start with Hustlers.
Hustlers.
Hustlers is the Lorraine Scafaria film, a woman director. It's based on a true story of these group of strippers, Scores, New York City. I think it was a New York Times article or New Yorker article. They wrote about these women who were making money, but they wanted to make more money by picking out rich guys, drugging them. They concocted this combination of MDMA and I don't know, that drug that basically knocks you out.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's that
Roofies.
it's not Rofinol, but there's another kind of drug that basically makes
GHB.
puts you out.
Ecstasy.
And they get his credit card
Roofies.
and basically, strip him of his money. And then, of course, the guy won't report it because how's he going to report money lost when he was out with strippers,
At a strip
right?
club, yeah.
he doesn't want to explain it to police. It's embarrassing, whatever. But J-Lo is in it. She's amazing. But the real, I guess, focus of the movie was Constance Wu's character. Asian American. J-Lo kind of takes her under her wing. J-Lo is like the star of this club. She, when she's on stage, the men are just raining her up.
She's
with
the
cash,
queen bee.
and she's the new girl, and she's looks up to her, and she teaches her, the tricks of the trade and all this stuff. And so it's kind of her point of view, and Constance Wu does a great acting job in this. Surprisingly good. I liked it, enjoyed it. My daughter recommended it to me, so I went to go see it, enjoyed it. So yeah, Hustlers, great. The second one I saw, El Camino, the Breaking Bad movie.
Oh.
This is the, Breaking Bad, of course, the series that was on FX, ran for I don't know how many seasons. Walter,
Actually, AMC, but yeah.
Yeah.
AMC? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
About 6
FX.
seasons, right? 5
That's
or
right,
6?
right,
Yeah.
right. Walter White, of course, the science teacher who recruits a young drug dealer. They cook meth together and they turn it into an empire, basically. And by the end of the series, Jesse Pinkman, the kid, they kind of, they butt heads and they kind of go their own way. But Yeah, in the end, Jesse is taken in by these Aryans who basically enslave him, put him in like a pit, basically, and use him to keep cooking. And
Oh wow.
he's tortured and beaten up, and at the end of the series, of course, I guess you can spoil it. Walter White dies, of course. He gets killed.
In Breaking Bad.
But in Breaking Bad, and then Jesse Pinkman escapes. Well, this film, Breaking Bad, or El Camino, the Breaking Bad movie, it basically picks up where it leaves off. Jesse's taken off in El Camino. He's got that beard. He's suffering. He's probably like post-traumatic stress syndrome, big time. And then it's just 2 hours of just him trying to escape. Get some money somehow. Mm-hmm. There's flashbacks. There's scenes of that cleverness that you saw. Scenes of really intense scenes where he's in a bad situation. He's got to get out of it and figure out a way to get out of it. So you're really like on the edge of your seat most of this movie. And also it has some neat cameos, characters that were in the series that kind of come back. Skinny Pete and Badger. That's are great. They're hilarious. And Skinny Pete is kind of like the hero of the movie, man. He kind of saves Pinkman at the very beginning, and so at the end, and then there's this really neat scene, and I guess I won't spoil it. But
no, don't spoil it.
It's an actor that, well, he died recently, Robert Forster, but he was a character in the show. Right. He's the guy that felicitates. If you want to escape, start a new life, he's the guy you go to. He gets a van, he drives you somewhere, and then you can start a new life somewhere. And that's what he does.
Nice.
So he shows up, but, that movie premiered, I guess, Friday, and then I guess Saturday he had passed away. Mm-hmm. That was great. It was really good. Kind of a fitting ending, if you wanted to see what happened to Jesse Pinkman, after he got out of that whole situation. And there's behind-the-scenes story where they kept it a secret from everybody. Nobody knew they were filming this. When they filmed, they kept them covered up so they wouldn't know that they were actually filming that in Albuquerque, where this is set. Wow. Well done. They showed it in theaters, and I guess, if you wanted to go see it, it's you're watching a TV show. But there's a few scenes in there. It's kind of cinematic, and it's beautiful shots of the desert and things like that. But I watch it on Netflix, so I didn't go to theaters and see it.
Yeah.
And then of course Joker, but we'll get into that.
Okay. Yeah, we will definitely get into that. K-Zach, anything that you saw?
Yeah, a couple of things. First off, a new TV series, limited series on Adult Swim, Gennady Tartakovsky's Primal.
Oh, I've heard of that.
It is a really beautiful, well done cartoon from the makers of the Powerpuff Girls and Samurai Jack. It is it's completely nonverbal. Basically, a guy in prehistoric times with dinosaurs. Again, the humans interacting with dinosaurs. But it is a really kind of great copacetic relationship that these two have, and the series is just beautifully animated. Tons of action. If you like Samurai Jack, you're really going to like this show.
Okay.
The second thing that I started picking up this week was the third season of Glow on Netflix. It is a really fantastic show. This season focuses on the promotion moving to Las Vegas to do a floor show. You have Gina Davis as a casino owner introduced in the series. And again, Glow has never stopped being good. It really is a fantastic ensemble cast. The comic timing is amazing. You're getting great levels of drama. It really is a terrific, well-done series starring Alison Brie, Betty... I can't remember. Gilpin, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Maron is great in it.
Mark Maron's fantastic as Sam Celia. And again, like I said, as a wrestling fan, it's a great show. but
it doesn't have that much wrestling in it, though. There's more the drama behind
But neither
the
did the
scenes,
real Glow, so I'm just saying.
Right.
But Honestly, it's an earnest show. It's a great ensemble show, and it really is worth picking up for anyone. I mean, it is appointment viewing for me and my wife, and if I can get her to watch wrestling, it's a really kind of feat. So yeah.
Love it. Very good. Very good. Well, I did two things. Obviously, I did see Joker, and we're going to talk some more about that. But I rewatched In the Line of Fire. It just happened to be there, so I made a conscious choice, folks, to watch In the Line of Fire. I do like Clint Eastwood movies. Don't know that Clint Eastwood off camera or behind the camera, not directing, I'm not sure about. But when he does put something on film, it's noteworthy. So I went back and watched this, and I don't know, man. I think I may have forgotten a villain because John Malkovich destroys it as the psychopath in this film. So if you haven't seen it, or if you want to go back and watch it, or if you've seen it before, it still holds up because Malkovich, in fact, he's like just a quicker, smarter Joker in a sense, and he's much more dangerous because he's military trained. And so what you're watching in The Line of Fire is a tit for tat between Clint Eastwood's character and Booth, who's John Malkovich, and they're doing this psychological...
This is the one where Clint Eastwood's the Secret Service?
Yeah, this is the one where Clint Eastwood is that Secret Service man who, what Booth has over him is the fact that, hey, yeah, aren't you the one that was on the detail when Kennedy was killed in Dallas? And he keeps reminding him how you messed up. You messed up. How on earth do you think you're going to stop me from killing the president who's the president now? Yeah. And so he has these phone calls that he keeps making, and even though they try to tap it, the phone call, the FBI and the CIA, he just has a scrambler, and he gets off right at the right time he needs to get off, or if they do get a fixed position on him, he's the master of disguise too, and he'll walk out of there and they'll never even know who he is. But the scenes of Malkovich, him and Eastwood going back and forth.
Just that voice of his.
And just... Yeah. Malkovich gets me because he's got that. You could tell there's something wrong with this guy, but he's so patiently calm when he talks until he screams, and then you're like, "Whoa, where'd that come from?" But he's so delightfully condescending to you when he talks to you, so you feel like he's got an IQ of 150,000, and you've only got an IQ of 10 when he talks to you. So the way he dresses you down, just on the phone with phone voice, is amazing. So if you guys haven't had a chance, or if you didn't see it, or if you haven't seen it in a while, I will tell you, it does hold up still. And with Joker, in the context of Joker, with how maniacal he is, it's even worse if you're a PTSD Army veteran who's skilled at killing people. And Joker's just kind of wild and random and whatever, but this guy is precise about everything he wants to do. And he's probably watching us right now talking about this. So, but that's how he was. And so I loved that. I thought that was great. That rewatch was awesome for me. I did see on Netflix a series called Unbelievable, where it's covering the story. It's based off of true stories of these women who had been raped, and kind of what happens when they go in to report rape, and then how they're treated, and just this whole thing. And it's an interesting watch. It gets you started pretty well.
It's infuriating at times.
When you see how the dullness and the lack of empathy you see portrayed from the other side, the police, whenever they are looking at these women who are trying to explain something, even though they seem crazy at the time when they're trying to explain it. But what's interesting is it goes along, you really want to figure out, well, which guy is it? They do a good job of disguising which guy it is that's done it, or guys. The only problem I had with it is that I felt like there were scenes that drug on forever, that I'm like, you don't need this scene between this cop and that cop. You know, one's the gentle cop, one's the more ball-busting cop. And they kept showing too many scenes and stakeouts that they're sitting in the car talking about their lives. I'm like, I don't care about them. What's interesting here are these serial killers, because these guys...
They're not serial killers, serial rapists.
Serial rapists, because what they do is they're able to go in, they've already been watching the victim for a while. They do everything in such a way that they leave no trace at all, and they make the women bathe afterwards, after they've done the act, to scrub clean all this stuff. And so it's hard to detect anything from these guys because they really don't leave anything behind, or this guy. So that's very intriguing.
And their suspect was, their first kind of theory was that it might be a cop doing it, because only a cop would know this kind of detail.
Exactly.
Forensics and getting rid of evidence.
Absolutely.
And so that leads them on a trail. Yeah, it's almost like it could have been a 2-hour movie if they would have cut all that extraneous dialogue and interactions and stuff, and just do the work. Follow along how they capture a police procedural.
Yeah, because
So,
it's some parts. But
kind of an
you may
unnecessary.
find this an interesting watch, and it is. Just know as a little more it wears on, you start to get very used to the themes, and some of the themes are a little tiring, but not too bad. So that was one I didn't tell Kazak about, but I don't know. It was on the top of my mind, so I went ahead and went with it. So, all right, for the reason why all of you are here now, if not, because you're probably going, when are you going to talk about Joker? We're going to talk about Joker. Well, that happens now. We're going to get into segment 3 right now, which is we're going to talk about the top 5 depiction of Joker all time, which includes talking about Joker, the movie that just came out this last week. There's that wiki. So let's talk about Joker first. Then we'll get into where we've ranked the Jokers, and then we'll talk about what makes a good Joker, and then we'll talk about the controversy that surrounded the movie. So,
Warning, spoilers ahead.
warning, spoilers are ahead. Thank you for that, Kazak. And so, let's talk about Joker first. Overall impressions.
Overall impressions, very impressed by the film. You know, this is Todd Phillips doing a serious film, and this is the guy that did the Hangover movies and so forth. As far as the themes of the film, I thought they were pretty interesting. The look of the film, Lawrence Sher, the cinematographer, did an amazing job of kind of recreating the 70s look, you know, the gritty, dirty, filthy New York City of the 70s, you know, that Taxi Driver era. The score, I can't pronounce her last name, but she's an internet a famous cellist, and she did the score for Chernobyl. I love the score for Chernobyl because it was kind of like she used ambient sounds of the nuclear power plant there in Russia, recorded it, and then used it to create this eerie soundtrack for that film. She uses more traditional strings and instruments. Her themes of the Joker when he's, you know, doing his, you know, these introspective scenes was amazing. I loved it. It's a super violent movie. It was first watch, man. Some scenes were pretty shocking. You know, I couldn't believe they actually DC Warner Brothers allowed, you know, this movie to kind of go this direction and get this dark. You know, and you know, it was amazing to watch. I was mesmerized from beginning to end. Joaquin Phoenix, of course, amazing acting job. Undoubtedly, he's going to get nominated for an Academy Award for this. And you know, people say, "Well, it's a comic book movie; they don't give Academy Awards." But yeah, Heath Ledger won for The Dark Knight. Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was incredible to watch. I loved it. I love that they used the old '70s Warner Brothers logo when it opened. You know, that little, you know, this Art Deco looking WB, you know. And when I watched it yesterday, I watched it for the third time yesterday in 70 millimeter at the Look Theater. Oh man, it's just absolutely stunning. You know, the imagery, the detail, the close up. When they're showing him in the alleyway and he's laying down after he's been beaten up, you know, you can see the wool material. You know, the blacks are just super black, and that was the best version I saw of it. Even though I saw it, you know, we saw it together in IMAX that Tuesday night, the press screening, and then I saw it again Thursday. It was the same theater, but it's interesting the reactions of the crowd. Like yesterday when I watched it, like nobody laughed. Everybody's like silent, and it was pretty full theater again. But the first time we watched, you know, it was funny. I mean, there's scenes in it that are kind of disturbingly humorous, you know, in a way. You know? They're just so out there that it makes you kind of chuckle.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, it was a great film. I thought that as well. I thought that the production value, you know, you consider it very good whenever nowadays, because we're good at being able to take films back to the 70s or 60s. You know, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood takes you back to the 60s. Yeah. So we're good at that. We seem to have an eye for that. But I think the really big standout here is the idea that the writers decided to say, let's don't just spoon feed you everything here. Let's let you kind of decide what you think's really happened here. Is she delusional or is she not delusional as mom with what's the things that she's saying? And then when you're looking at Arthur Fleck, who is Joaquin Phoenix's character who becomes the Joker, you're getting this study of, should you feel sorry for a guy who's done has had all the stuff done to him, but then at the same time, you know, you also feel sorry because they cut off his meds. And what do you expect him to do? So there's a commentary there about social services and what happens to that when funding gets cut. And so then there's this idea that he still has this father figure wound. I don't think people caught that. I caught it pretty heavily the first time, but not as much, even more so the second time than the first time. And this whole idea that when he sees Murray Franklin, that's kind of like he has this hope, and that's what we see in that first little vision scene where he imagines he's actually on the show.
He wants to be recognized.
Right? Yeah. And then we get the same thing when another person shows up, TW shows up, and you can see that when he finds out that might be, his dad, the hope that he has, that I can just go talk to him and I can just tell him what happened because I'm sure he's a decent man. I'm sure he'll want to help, knowing the disparity that we're in right now. Yeah. And when he's completely the opposite, spurned yet again, it's like it's such a great study of showing again, just like how Star Wars did it with Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker. There's a part here where he doesn't have a dad. He has a mom that he loves to death. But asking psychologists, they'll tell you, when you look at how a boy relates to his dad, it's a huge determining factor of how many times he'll be in jail or not. Right? They got numbers to that. Like they say 93% of the men that are in jail right now have no relationship to their father. Wow. None. Yep. Right? And 78% of the women that are in jail have no relationship to their father. So there is this big father theme that's just underneath all the psychosis and the mental health problems and all that. Oh, yeah. And that's where you start to, the film makes you go, should I really feel sorry for this guy? I mean, yeah, he had a bad deal, but the way he's choosing to respond to it all, even though you could understand it because they cut his meds off, so what is he going to do if you cut his meds off, right? So it does this nice balancing act to where you don't want to completely defame him, but at the same time, you can't encourage what he does with his behavior afterwards.
It's understandable, at the very least.
And so this film makes you really get into the psychosis of that area of black and white and what's gray, and then what's forgivable, what isn't forgivable, and then do you hold a grudge, and how do you handle grudges? Because you had what happened to him happen to him. There's no way you come unscathed out of that.
Exactly.
So how should somebody handle that, especially if the government's going to cut off the funding for the meds that they need to help keep them sane? So, yeah, a whole lot going on. Way more than any. I don't even call it a comic book movie. I say it's a movie based on a comic book character because to me it doesn't play like, sound like, or look like a comic book movie on any end, and that is actually a good thing. What do you think, Carlos?
Right, absolutely agree with that. It's almost like this is not even the real comic book Joker. If you want to say it's an origin film, I would say no, this is not the origin of the Joker. I think it's just an origin of this particular Arthur Fleck character, and maybe in the future it does inspire a future more mastermind, crazy, nutty version of the Joker you are known from the comic, the traditional Joker. That one that's always 2 steps ahead of Batman, or knows how to taunt him. You can't imagine Arthur Fleck going up against Batman. No. Batman would destroy 2 seconds. But a future Joker, by the end of the movie, he's basically created this army of like kind of compared it to Antifa, the anti-fascists. These guys are protesting all the time against the Trump policies and things like this. But definitely a lot of themes here. How we treat the less fortunate, the mentally ill, how the privileged look down on them. That scene is a perfect example of it. Is when they're interviewing Thomas Wayne, and I thought it was interesting that they did in this film make Thomas Wayne a real asshole character, a real shitty character, and basically call them clowns, these people, I'm going to save them, I'm going to help them, they're like just being real arrogant about it. And then you see by the end, how they react to the rich, and you can see it happening now. It's basically a reflection of society, our sick society. That
I wasn't quite sure if I like that depiction of Thomas Wayne because it seems contradictory to
it does go against
what it is that we understand in Batman Begins about Thomas Wayne. But I get they're not connected, and sure, it's a different take, and that's fine. But I was kind of like, I get it, but you don't really need it to really tell the story, because here Joaquin Phoenix just takes over. The shots, the way it's filmed. I noticed that the way Todd Phillips shot this film, in the beginning when you first see Arthur Fleck, it's kind of shot from just a straight-on shot. But then later on, once he becomes the Joker, he's shot panned up like this when he's walking to make it seem like he's even larger, like he's even more of a monster once he becomes Joker. Like I noticed the first shots are all like this whenever he's walking. It's just straight on shots. But there at the end when he's walking anywhere with the rain and his hair's sopping
and the
wet.
body language too. You know, he's got that hunched over look,
Yeah.
and then when it's a transformation. It's a physical and mental transformation. You know.
Yeah.
Did you catch that little scene where he's writing his notebook? You know, and he's using his right hand in his journal, and then all of a sudden he puts his pen down, smokes a cigarette, and then he takes his left hand and picks up the pen again, and then
I didn't
scrawls that
catch
little
that.
weird thing.
Oh, that's awesome.
And right before he starts writing, it looks like you can actually see the click in his head, like he's like, oh, now I'm a psycho here, and he writes that little, you know, people think, you know, you're mentally ill, behave like you're supposed to. You know, this whatever that little message was.
That little
It
joke
was
book
really, yeah, it was very interesting little joke. I hope my death makes more sense than my life sense. CENTS. Just all those little details in it, man. It kind of reminded me of Mad Magazine. You know how when they do those movie parodies, there's so much going on in the background. And in this movie, you know, there's all kinds of stuff going on in the background. There's a scene where he's on the phone booth, you know, and that one of those super rats runs around the corner. You know, you just catch it for a second. You know, it's like, yeah, I thought he did a fantastic job with this, the imagery of the film.
And I like watching those scenes where you can tell this couldn't have been written in a script. How do you write this? You could tell it was an ad lib or it was just something he just did because it was him being in the moment. So I love that scene where he's being chased by the cops through the different the subway cars, and everybody's kind of got their Joker stuff on because they're going to go protest and, you know, all that stuff. So he kind of blends in with them and he takes a mask and puts it over his makeup, which is interesting. And then as the scuffle goes on between the cops and some of the people in the train, they show from the cops' view laying on the ground being just beaten up by all these people. They show him looking up at the Joker, and he does a quick little dance on them like, whatever. and then he left it like, you know, they didn't write. And then Joker does the whatever dance real quick. That's just Joaquin Phoenix feeling that role. And I thought that was awesome that they would just show from the cop on the ground, everybody beating on him, looking up, and there's the thing he was chasing standing right there. And they freeze it for just a second.
Just that little
and then it's like,
dance, yeah.
And then he runs up like that's totally what the Joker would do.
Throws the mask in the trash, you know.
Yes.
Like, I'm not with these guys.
I don't care.
I'm just doing
those
my
guys.
own thing. Yeah. Oh man, that whole interview with Murray Franklin at the very end, just that interaction, and then when he finally turns on Murray, he says, "Yeah. You're terrible, Murray." You know, and that look on his, that malevolence in his eyes, you know, and then Murray's like, "Me? Like, you don't know me. How can you say I'm terrible?" And then he lays it out for him, and he just Whew, that was a strong scene.
I'm telling y'all have to go see this film if you haven't seen it yet. I know most of you are.
I've already seen it.
But you gotta. K-Zach, you hear us talking about it up here. What's going through your mind right now?
I'm still not going to see this in the theater. I'm not. I mean, I understand it's a brilliantly shot film and it's a well done flick, but the thing is that I don't go to the theaters for 2 hours of misery on a big screen. I don't see me putting the money into an IMAX showing of this. I would rather go see it in an intimate little theater because it's an art house film. This is not a big comic book film. This is an art house film that I want to go see. You know, I'll sit in a theater, but I'll sit in a dollar theater. I'll sit in a cheap seat and watch this film break down because I'll watch a breakdown of a guy, but I don't need to see it. You know, I don't need to pay $12 to be miserable for 2 hours. I can't.
It's a wonderful misery, though. It's a wonderful misery.
It's a wonderful misery. But the thing is that when I go to see my art house films, I want it to be, you know, a little more intimate. I want the presence of mind to be able to take it in. I don't see this film overwhelming me. Like I would, you know, like a Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, or you know, or a Star Wars film, or things like that. I would rather go see it in an intimate, quiet theater rather than, you know, paying $25 for, you know, huge sound and things like that. When it just feels like a lot of that's just going to go to waste, and that's that. And I can't put my money into going to seeing this, but like I said, I'll go see it in the dollar theater when I can have time to just enjoy the film as it is.
You mean you don't want to sit in there with a bunch of people dressed up like Joker, trying to act like Joker in every move and quoting all the lines back and forth before he says them or as he says them? You don't find that as fun? I mean, come on.
No.
Where's the? No, I'm that way.
Because this is not a fanboy film. This is an art house film. It's a breakdown. True. I mean, it could have been called The Clown. It didn't necessarily need to be called The Joker.
True.
I know that there are flashbacks in it to the comic books and things like that. You've got elements of Red Hood in there. You've got elements of Dark Knight Returns and things like that, which is cool. It's great. But like I said, I'd rather go see this breakdown of a man in an intimate, quiet theater and just enjoy the film for what it is rather than enjoy the hype of the film.
Yeah, I get it. The sticky floors and the popcorn still in the seats.
Exactly.
That's more organic.
Right. It's that 70s film.
That urine and popcorn smell.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that. If I'm gonna go watch a greasy 70s retro film, I'm gonna go watch it in the 70s greasy retro theater.
Never mind what those two people are doing at the back of the theater. They don't seem to be watching the movie at all.
Precisely.
Yes, I got it.
Those red velour seats that are real hard. Yeah. One thing I was disappointed, PJ. In Joker was that I was promised gunfire in the theater by CNN. They were pretty sure that there was going to be gunfire. And
Let's
somebody was going to shoot up the place, and so I was disappointed.
Yeah, the controversy here surrounding this. So, for those of you and I know everyone kind of knows, but just in case you don't, the controversy was that this film was going to all of a sudden inspire people to go out and do some horrible things because they saw it on the film. And if that's the case, then I guess I can never watch a war movie because that might make me want to go out and start a war. So I can't watch Saving Private Ryan. I can't watch
a serial killer movie because somebody might.
Can't listen to Jump by Van Halen because I might want to jump off of buildings or push other people off. I guess I don't know. But I mean, it's just it's interesting. We've heard this argument before. We've seen it before. Should you be concerned? Are there people out there that could do something crazy like that? Absolutely. We don't want to shy away from that. But at the same time, to try to broaden that way, because they also did it this way too. The same thing happened when Straight Outta Compton came out. They were saying, well, we better put a bunch of cops up there because this is a movie about NWA. And, black folks will be bringing guns, start shooting people at the theater. And I remember that. And not one incident happened when Straight Outta Compton came out. Not one theater had some sort of problem or brouhaha breakout or something, some kind of fracas breakout with gunplay involved because it was a movie about some gangster rappers who, in former lives, at least Eazy-E was a drug dealer and had shot people before. But I noticed that people went and saw the movie, and it didn't make them want to go out and try to shoot and become a gangster thug person. So same thing, same argument. Now here it is. We're going to do the same thing.
Yeah, they were so desperate for articles that they reported that there was a disturbance in the theater because someone was over laughing and was eating beans in the theater. That was the report. That was a serious news report. That people were disturbed by this. It's like, oh
Get
my
out
God,
of here.
come on, serious eating beans in the theater.
And see, to me, the way I see it is crazy people are just crazy. They're going to do it whenever they want to do it.
Yeah.
Who's to say you can't get shot inside seeing Frozen Part 3? I mean, if somebody's crazy, the movie probably doesn't matter as much. If they just want to kill some people, if they just want to get attention, something that's going to draw a lot of attention to them, which this movie talks about as well, about Joker says in the movie, now people finally see me, that sort of thing. So it could really happen during any movie. And in fact, a comedy that happened with one of Amy Schumer's movies in Louisiana, somebody went in there and shot up the theater during her comedy. And it didn't get as much news, which was kind of odd. But yeah, she talked about that in one of her deals. But let's get into that list real quick so we can end strong on that list. And so what we did is because you can't help it. People are always going to want to compare. Well, which was the best Joker? Which performance moved you more than others? And that's fine. We'll play into that for a little bit. So we'll look at our top 5. And so, Carlos, if we had to look at the 5 Jokers, how would you rank them?
Okay. I'll go 5 to 1.
Okay.
And this is probably going to be shocking to a lot of people, but my number 5 is Jack Nicholson.
What?
The Tim Burton.
Jack Nicholson?
Yeah.
The Cougar Nest guy? The Shining guy?
I guess maybe because I haven't seen Batman '89. I don't know how many years since I've seen that film. But I don't know. It just doesn't stand out to me compared to the other Jokers.
Yeah.
My number 4 is Mark Hamill's, of course, iconic voice of the Joker. And he does so much with that voice.
Jedi Joker.
And it is the Joker, man. Comic book Joker, however you want to look at it. his Joker in the Batman the Animated Series is just one of a kind. It's incredible. My number 3, Cesar Romero, 1966 Joker, and I think maybe
He
this
would
is
even shape his mustache.
maybe this is maybe it's nostalgia or what, but I just love his Joker. His face is so animated, and he's got that physicality, and just the fact that Cesar Romero, he was he was famous back in the 40s, probably 50s films, but by the time he made Joker, he was more elderly, and he wouldn't shave his mustache for the role. You could always see it under there. But that laugh of his, man, he just made that role his own, and he owned it. And when you were a kid, when I was a kid watching that Joker, man, I was just like, I was in awe of him, man. So I love Cesar Romero.
Yeah.
Number 2, Joaquin Phoenix,
Interesting.
Joker, and for what we've already talked about, just his physicality, his deep dive into that role, man. I think it affected him mentally. I read an interview where he was talking about it, and he said, I still talk to Todd Phillips, and we could have kept filming, and there's so much we could have done, and it made it sound like he did want to do a sequel to it, or there was a possibility there. But I'm sure Warner Brothers would love that, just money wise. But I hope they don't. Honestly, I think it's done. I mean, I guess you could show his evolution of the character and then what he could accomplish after. But I hope it ends there. And then, of course, number 1, without a doubt, for me, Heath Ledger, it's Joker. Yeah. He did a lot with that role. He wasn't in the whole movie like the Joker in film, Joaquin's role. But when he was on screen, man, you were enraptured. And he made that character really just eerie and uncomfortable and disturbing to watch, and and he wasn't in the whole movie, but when he was, and he made the atmosphere of that movie what it was,
Love it.
So
It's right on.
Heath Ledger for sure.
Absolutely, I don't disagree. I think most people will be paying attention to see what happens to the 1 and 2 spot, because I think it's almost clear. You could flip flop either.
Yeah, they're interchangeable. You could argue that one is more, maybe Joaquin did more with the role, but what Ledger did with his part was more interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a point to that, and we'll talk about that for sure. How about you, birthday boy Kazak, by the way? It is Kazak's birthday.
Thank you so much.
So this is a special birthday Joker list.
We got strippers coming.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Right. J-Lo.
Perfect in the vortex of doom. All right. An all audio show. It's great. All right. Joaquin's out of this list for me because I haven't seen the film, so officially I can't throw him in there. So I just have to do the 4 that I rank.
Gotcha.
Obviously, it's going to be my 4 is Romero because again the guy was iconic in the TV series.
Yes,
absolutely enjoyed the role, relished the role, ate up the screen any time he was on there, and well balanced Adam West and Burt Ward in the TV series and Batman '66 the movie. Number 3 is going to be Nicholson. Nicholson, of course, took what Tim Burton gave him and absolutely just enjoyed doing the film. He's completely over the top in the film, and it really shows absolutely perfectly what a comic book Joker could do. And of course, just everything, even up to his death, is amazingly an amazing Jack Nicholson role.
You spoiled it.
All right, so this is going to be my controversy here. I rank Heath Ledger number 2.
What?
Yeah,
outrage!
Ledger really Ledger, like Nicholson, threw himself into the role, but again, it is a complete transformation, and it really was an amazing view of, like I said, a guy who's completely lost over the top and just wants to watch the world burn. He's absolutely perfect in the role, and yeah. But my number one is going to be Hamill, because I'm so tied to the cartoon, because I'm so tied to the video games, and because he's been so tied to this role for, God, probably 20 years now?
Oh,
Yeah.
Something
Or
like
more.
since Batman the Animated Series. To know that it was first Luke Skywalker, and now he's one of the greatest good guys of all time, now going to the greatest bad guy of all time on an animated screen, the Joker. I mean, he really is identified with that role, and he really did make it his own. And I don't think you can go and see a cartoon or a comic book, I think, for me, without hearing it in Mark Hamill's voice. I just can't.
That's good. That's good. That's nice and solid. So I'll jump into mine real fast. And at number 5, I do have Cesar Romero. This is the first time I've ever seen the Joker as a little kid, watching it on TV, and I was captivated by him. I thought, man, this guy is nutty, but interesting kind of nutty, because he could have done worse to Batman, but he didn't, and he kept playing with him. So I saw that even as a kid. I like that. And my number 4 is Jack Nicholson. I really feel like it just didn't age that well for me. I mean, if you go back and watch it now, you're just going to watch it and you just can't put it into a context, which is not his fault, of course. I think Jack Nicholson's crazy, and he deserved to be Joker, especially after watching him in The Shining. Him having that conversation with himself in the bar, that's Joker, really, right? Yeah. So it would have been nice if we'd have seen more of The Shining Jack Nicholson as Joker. Ooh, that would have been he'd be much higher on my list. At number 3, I do have Mark Hamill, so I do have my Jedi Joker here. And I think that Mark Hamill's voice he's owned that voice, where now when you think of Joker, it is him. Just like it's what Bruce Conroy you think of when you hear Batman's voice. Kenneth Conroy, thank you. I always
Kevin
get that
Conroy,
first name. Or Kevin, yes, Kevin Conroy. I always think of him when I hear Batman's voice, and whenever I watch an animated feature. So when it comes to Joker, it's definitely Mark Hamill. This is a tough one for me. 1 and 2 is tough. Number 2 is going to be Joaquin. Number 1 being Heath Ledger. Let me tell you why. For Joaquin here, I didn't think anybody would even come close to Heath Ledger's portrayal, because it was so that good, right? And Joaquin here had me watching the film, and as I watch The Dark Knight, I always watch for the Joker's scenes, because that's more interesting to me. In this film, I get to just watch that the whole time, watching Joker. So that is incredible to me. The only reason why I have Ledger at number 1 is because, imagine this, film fans, this is the best version of the Joker. He's not just becoming the Joker. He's been there for a while, and he's super maniacal. And that's why he's able to pull off half the stuff he's pulling off. He's already going after gangsters in there. So it's kind of like Darth Vader. We never got to see him at his best until we finally got to see the only Disney one that I like, Rogue One. Right at the end of Rogue One, you see the best Darth Vader. Well, this is the best version that Heath Ledger's playing, because he's not just figuring out that he's crazy. He's already started taking over Gotham. He's already started taking over the crime lords. He already knows how to beat the crime lords as one man, by himself, not afraid of any of the mafia.
He's already the smartest guy in the room.
And when he gets captured, it's because he wants to get captured,
Absolutely. Right? He's already there. So because of that, yes, Joaquin is showing me the wonderful version of Joker, how he gets started, and even though it's not necessarily origin, but you still get that sense. When you see Heath Ledger's Joker, no, this dude's been doing this for a while. And the fact that you're just now hearing about him, it makes you go, well, what else has he been doing all this time? And that's even more freaky to imagine that. And then, of course, Heath Ledger, he was able to play the funny with the dark and twisted without any mix-up in tone. And I think that in Joaquin's Joker, he does the same thing. He doesn't mess up the tone. When he's funny, he's funny. When he's dark, he's just dark. And when you smirk when you shouldn't smirk, he pulls that out of you. So greatness, except for I think that Ledger he got to be the full understanding of the Joker. So I think the next person who plays Joker needs to take it from the Heath Ledger, from knowing stuff, to what would that look like on mogul level, where he's the mogul Joker. In Dark Knight, he's getting there by showing he can knock over, other different mafia of the different cities, of the different gangs and organized crime. So I think I can go there. And of course, no honorable mention here is Jared Leto. I think no one's even thinking about Jared Leto in this case. No one cares about Jared Leto in this case.
Jared Leto?
Yeah, who's Jared Leto? And I heard somewhere that he's a little upset that he wasn't considered. Have you heard about this?
Oh, yeah, that he's upset that they're not going to include him in the Suicide Squad sequel, or they had promised them a standalone Joker movie, and they said, "Nah, we're just putting that on hold, or probably just not going to do it."
Yeah.
Nobody liked working with the guy. And
Yeah.
I think he went way over. I mean, it was interesting to watch, but to me, it wasn't the Joker. It was just a weird. He was trying to be unique, I guess, but it just didn't work for me.
Yeah.
Maybe it worked for some people, but nah.
Yeah, no, I would say this, for the people he did work for, they don't know Joker. They don't know the character of Joker. But that makes sense. We could say that, right? Well, that brings us to the end. What do you guys think at home? Have you seen Joker yet? Was it great? Was it awesome? Hey, comment in the comment section below. Post on this page. Let us know. Where can they find you to post to let you know what they think of Joker, Samurai?
Film Samurai at Film Samurai on Twitter, and I'm Carlos Salinas on Facebook.
Awesome. And Kazak, how can the people find you if they want to talk more?
You can find me here on DallasOnAir.com every Sunday with Talk Nerdy to Me Sundays. You can find me on the Rant Court Pit, on Figments, the Unexplained Mysteries podcast, on Isle of Toys, and of course you can catch me on the Vortex of Doom coming up right after this right here on DallasOnAir.com.
That's right, and I am your host, the Vegabomber, and you can find me on the Facebook page, Vegabomber. Go ahead, like it so that you can get the early version of this if you want. We'll have the taped version up this week. You can also find me on the YouTube channel, Vegabomber. See, there's a theme going on here, and Vegabomber on Twitter and Instagram. So that's how you can find us. But go ahead, definitely let us know. So we'll just tell you this. Go to the movies, get your popcorn, get your drink, sit down with your best buds, enjoy the movie, and afterwards, come find us so we can talk to you about your film.
Sayonara.
We're out.
This is DallasOnAir.com.